Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our YouTube channel. You're watching the Sizzle review with Sabah
and Izzat. We are two US-based friends who love Pakistani dramas and we love to review them for you. Please comment, like and subscribe to our channel, and please follow us on Instagram and on our Facebook page, The Sizzle Review. Today we are going to start with our review of Sange Ma, episode 22. So this was a very happening episode, Sabah.
Yes.
A lot transpired during the episode.
Yes, it did. And, I was loving it. I was so, anticipating, the jirga scene. And
finally, we get a jirga scene.
The climax that was in this episode.
Yes, definitely.
So it starts off with Hillman, right? Mm-hmm. He goes to the Shah Saab, who everybody respects in the community. He's a very pious man.
Yeah.
And he starts quoting Surah Nisa ayat 135.
Yes.
Which basically says that, you need to testify in front of God and you need to be honest and just, even if you're testifying against yourself or your parents or your relatives. You have to be just and fair and tell the truth.
Yeah, because he thinks that Shah Saab is refusing to head the jirga because he has sympathy for Haji.
Yes.
So I think he's trying to get him to be there.
Right. Yeah. He has a soft corner for Haji.
Yes.
So he wants him to be just, and he knows he will,
yeah,
because he's a very pious man, and
yes,
he's going to do what the Quran tells him to do.
Mm-hmm.
So then we see Haji getting ready for the jirga.
Yes.
Right, with Hoverhand, and he is putting on his turban.
Yes, and you can see he's nervous and he's a little
frustrated,
and then
that was a good scene, right?
A very good scene between Hoverhand and Haji, and we see the dynamic between the two actors, the two characters. We see a little bit more in depth of what their relationship is like.
Yeah, and when he was putting on the turban, it kept falling.
Yeah,
just like a sign of frustration.
Yeah,
because he's very anxious.
Exactly, that's what I was going to come to as well. Because anxiety ho rahi hai, he's thinking that's it. He's basically he's saying his goodbye. He's saying his goodbye to everyone.
Right.
बीवी को उसने वो अफीम पिला के सुला दिया है. So that's it. He thinks he's going to.
Yeah, it was kind of sad.
It was. I agree.
So Hawal Khan tells him, "Look, I hid something for you. I know who tried to kill Hillman.
Mm-hmm.
I know the guy." And Haji says, "Well, I had a feeling you were hiding something because you never looked me in the eye."
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "It was Mastan that tried to kill Hillman. And I kept quiet because of Gulmina. वो मेरी भाई की बेटी है और वो मेरी इज्जत है." Gulmina is like the izzat for everybody in that show. Mastan की इज्जत है, बादाम गुल की इज्जत है, अबुल खान की इज्जत है, हिकमत की इज्जत है और हिलमन की भी इज्जत है.
हिलमन ने गलत किया है, अब हिलमन has a claim there.
He's like, बेचारी गुलमीना सबकी इज्जत है. खैर.
Of all the people, Gulmina, she can hold herself.
Yeah,
she can. She's
feisty.
Strong. Yeah, she's a strong character.
Yeah,
so,
she's feisty.
Yeah.
So that scene where Hawal Khan cries?
Yeah.
For a secondary character, he did an amazing job there. It was a very, very good scene.
Yeah.
And then, they're hugging each other and crying.
Mm-hmm.
And Haji says, don't cry. You're a very honorable man.
Yeah.
You were with me since day one. I really respect you.
Yeah. And, I think you talk about this a lot in our reviews, the grayness of the characters. Mm-hmm. So I feel like every character in this drama has, shades of gray to it.
Yes.
Like Hawal Khan, we saw him, how ruthless he could be.
Yeah.
And now we see this, humane side of him.
The tender side.
Where he's crying. He has a relationship with Haji. Yeah. He's... That back and forth was amazing too.
Yeah, you're right. Remember when he tried to kill Hillman with the gun when Shahrazad was there?
Yes. And remember, even when Shahrazad came, he was the right hand man of Haji. And
right.
He was ruthless. It seemed like he could kill you without even a single ounce of remorse. But now we see another side of him.
And even in that nurse's house, how he was changing, we could see him change.
Yes.
So so then Haji visits
Zarghuna. Yes, and we see another wonderful scene between the two characters.
The way he walks into our house, he's so old, and the way he walks, he's hunched down. I mean, Numan Ijaz did a great job there.
He did. And वही है character का change. They're showing this like progression in his character. This wasn't Haji in the first episode.
No.
He was like, uske shoulders straight हैं, he's full of himself. Now he has been
झुक गया है.
The life has brought him to wherever he is at this point.
Yeah. He comes in, he's like, Zargunne, because they were friends. But Sali thi uski. So वो Quran पढ़ रही, and then she looks up, and then he says, forgive me, मुझे माफ कर दो. I married you off to Hoverhand, but he never, and he didn't value you because he used to beat her.
So Hoverhand used to beat Zarguna.
Yeah. He didn't value you.
Yeah.
And he never said anything bad about you, and Hillman is not going to stay quiet at the jirga, so you need to take care of your sister.
Yeah. So it's like a final goodbye.
Yeah.
And I think Zarguna picks up on that.
Yes.
Because you see that
her face,
she's quiet, she's absorbing, she's trying to put two and two together. Bahut acha, you can see everything register on her face in that moment.
And I really like her character. She's a stand-up woman. She's a very good character in this.
Yeah. And for her not to say anything back to Haji in this moment tells you that she realizes the gravity of the situation.
Yeah, she does realize it. And that she cares for these people. She cares for Haji and her sister and Hikmat and Hillman,
Yeah, it's like any family. You have, I'm sure all of us have been there. Differences ho jate hain, issues aa jate hain. But then you still have a soft corner for them.
Blood is blood.
Exactly.
Family is family.
Ha.
So he gives her dua, right? And then Hawal Khan comes to her.
Yeah. Hawal Khan is, by the way, giving her looks from the side, which I thought were fishy at that point. I was like, I'm like, I hope they're not starting a love story between Zarguna and Hawal Khan.
Yeah.
But it turns out they're not. Hawal Khan apologizes to her for his misdoings, and
he says that I beat you because I was ashamed.
Yeah.
He was impotent.
Yeah.
And that's why they couldn't have kids. It was because of him and not because of her.
Yeah.
His mother thought it was all her fault.
Yeah.
Well, obviously she had Gulmina with his brother.
With the brother, yeah. And then because he was feeling bad about himself, he took it out on his wife.
Yeah. And she never told everyone that it was because he was impotent she left him. It was because he beat her.
Yeah.
That's why. So she kind of saved his reputation.
Yeah. And he realizes this at this point.
And he respected her, and he gave her dua. He's like, God bless you.
Yeah.
May Allah bless you. And he tells Haji, he's like, what did you guys talk about? And Haji's like, tell me. And then he told him.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a nice scene.
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah.
And resolution of whatever we were seeing between Zarguna and Hawal Khan's character. We knew the history, and now it has, he has apologized. Hopefully that's that's the end of the storyline. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we see finally Mastan is getting married. We thought this day would never come, Sabah.
I know. Thank God. But Hershali tells Mastan that go to the jirga. He's like, Hillman asked me to lie at the jirga. What should I do? So she's like, no, you go and do what he says. Right? Protect Gulmina and protect Zarguna.
Yeah.
So Hershali is like totally blind, in love with Mastan, that she's telling him to do this.
She says, I have blind faith in you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why do you think she has blind faith in him?
Because in her mind that when he stabbed Asadullah, he did it to protect Hershali, right? Because they were seen out in the farm alone. So, and then he was a slave for 20 years. He didn't get married, didn't do anything. He waited for her.
And she waited for him.
Yeah, so it was like an unconditional love.
Yeah.
They were in love.
Yeah.
They're deep love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I think that's why she has blind faith in him.
Yeah.
So then he leaves the wedding and goes to the jirga.
Yes.
Mastan.
And then finally we see the jirga scene.
That was like very climatic. I thought that scene was very well done. Everybody's preparing. Zarguna is washing her face. She realized that there was drug in the tea because the maid tells her, and she has to go there, and Haji Mastan Singh and Haji are both getting ready.
Yeah.
So it was really good that everybody's preparing for the jirga.
Yes, and then
And Mr. Hillman walks in with totally, unwrinkled shalwar kameez, blow-dried hair.
gel in the hair.
Yeah, he looked perfect,
I think that's what he has waited for all these, like for 22 episodes. I think that's what
It's the
Hillman
climax.
has wanted.
It's the climax.
Yeah.
It's this one thing.
And keep in mind, in his head, he's already won. Because remember, wo to Haji ko pehle kabar pe leke ja chuka hai. That whole scene happened. He already thinks that,
Right.
everything is done and everything is going to be in his...
And he's blackmailed Mastan, so he thinks Mastan is going to
Yeah.
tell the lie. He's told Shah that you better tell the truth, you better be just in your testimony.
Yes.
So he's got everything lined up.
All his ducks in a row.
Yeah, all
Yes.
his ducks in a row, right?
Yes.
And so Sabzali's mom comes, and she brings a gallon of gasoline, and they're like, Sabzali, apni maa ko, what's a woman doing here? Tell her to leave. And he's like, Meri baap ki kahan tak nahi suni, meri kahan sunegi. So Hillman was furious.
Yeah.
He
Hillman
sits down on the floor. He doesn't even stand up. He wants eye-to-eye contact with her and says, "You better go, lady."
Yeah.
He threatens to kill her,
He
right?
threatens to kill her, yeah. And then she runs away.
He threatens to kill Sabzali too. That made her run away.
Yeah.
So then Hillman first he says that whatever the Jirga won't decide is Shah.
Yeah.
That's going to decide.
That's going to decide.
Right.
And then he forgives Hikmat.
Yeah, he goes, Hikmat nahi kiya hai, Hikmat kabhi nahi kar sakta hai.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, acha theek hai, phir khatam ho gaya, let's dua kare, khatam kare.
Yeah.
You know?
No, but he says, oh, jisne bhi kiya, usko maine maaf kar diya.
Haan, jisne bhi kiya hai, maine maaf kar diya,
Yeah,
right?
that's his kind of,
So everyone's like, okay, the jirga's over, let's make dua.
Yeah.
And he's like, not yet. Oh no, then they're like, Gug ka kya hua? We need to
Yeah.
find out about the Gug.
Yeah. He thinks it's time to talk about Haji at this point, He wants to bring what Haji did to the Jirga, and he questions Mastan Singh about it.
Yeah. So Mastan Singh thinks about what Harshali told him to lie, right, for the sake of Gulmina and her mother.
Yes.
But he doesn't. He starts praying to his God
Yes.
and said that I cannot lie, I have to tell the truth.
Yes.
And he said that, so Hillman sets it up and says, hey, his dying father on his deathbed told Mastan Singh something. And a dying man does not lie. Mastan Singh, what did your dad say? And he goes, the only thing he said was to marry Harshali. Oh, did you see the expression on Hillman's face?
Yes.
So he didn't do what Hillman wanted him to do.
Yes.
He said, my dad never mentioned Haji. So Haji's face went up and he was like, oh my God, what's going on?
What's going on?
So there was an anticlimax because Hillman, we can think, you can make all the plans in the world.
Yes.
But Allah has His own plans.
His plans, yes. And it's amal ka daro madar niyaton pe hai. And what we say ki aapki agar niyat achhi ho to you get what you want. But as you see, Hillman here, he's so consumed by his revenge कि वो उसने मस्तान को blackmail कर रहा है. He's doing everything. उसने गग भी इसीलिए किया है. He's not doing anything the right way.
तो उसकी नीयत सही नहीं है.
Yeah, he just wants
और खुद कुरान को कोट कर रहा है.
Yeah.
And yet he lied, with Mastan to have him lie.
To have him lie. उसको उसने blackmail किया. He knew what his soft point was कि मैं गुलमीना और ज़रगुना को बदनाम कर दूंगा if you don't lie. So he was blackmailing them. And then what happened with Shah Saab? Shah Saab को भी वो लेके आया कि Shah Saab is going to side with Hillman.
Right.
But what happened with Shah Saab? Shah Saab ने कहा when he said कि Mastan stabbed me, Shah Saab is like, you already forgave him.
Yeah. You already forgave him. You forgave Hikmat.
Yeah. So we're done.
We're done. So what I liked about this whole scene, it was the suspense, that the direction and the writing that built up the suspense. Like all you heard was birds chirping in the background. It wasn't over the top dramatic music like we see in Badzat and the camera going back and forth. I mean, it was so simple. So simply done. All you had was good writing and good acting. It wasn't over the top.
Yeah. When you have those two things, you don't need anything else.
You don't need
as
anything.
The scene proves to us.
Yes.
And the way the scene
unfolded, and then the twist,
and
then
yeah.
the anticlimax,
you know, it was slowly unraveling
Yeah.
and beautifully unraveling.
Yeah, and you didn't want to miss anything. Like you were
Exactly.
so glued to that
Yeah.
whole jirga scene.
Yeah.
You know, they built it up so
Yeah.
well.
I think it was such a masterclass, that particular scene.
Yes.
And like direction and acting and everything. Okay, aap bas ye dekhein. And that's a learning kind of a thing for every
Right.
director out there. That's how you get the audience like riveted and audience involved into the scene.
Exactly.
Not by like having like a lot of makeup
Over
or
the
a lot
top.
of over the top music, dialogues.
They just
camera
heard birds
angles.
chirping.
Yeah.
You know, I thought the whole
Awesome.
scene was greatly done.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it was not over.
Yes.
Who pays a visit? We see in the teaser.
Zarsanga and
Zarsanga.
Shehzad. And love that scene between Zarsanga and Shehzad too. Let's talk about that.
Yes. So we see Zarsunga getting ready to go, and Shehzad sees her, and she runs up to her and says, "Where are you going?" And she's like, "I'm going to the jirga." And she goes, "But women are not allowed to go there." And what does she say?
She's said इसलिए तो आधा justice आधा इंसाफ होता है वहाँ पे क्योंकि औरतें नहीं होती हैं.
I love that line.
I love that line too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we see in the teaser that she's over there. She goes to the jirga, and Haji's like, "Leave! What are you doing here? Leave!
Yeah.
And that was it. And then she hugs Hillman.
I think she's going to tell him the truth about his father. That's where my instinct is going. That's why
Yeah.
she's protecting him by holding him so that he's ready to hear the truth, because in his head, because he never saw his father, he has built his father up to this kind
Right.
of, you know, उसको उसने उस पे बिठाया हुआ है इस वक्त, you
Right.
know, and he has to fall from the grace.
Yes,
I feel like
and I feel like she's behind it. Like I feel like his dad did gug on her,
yeah,
and she was so anti-gug,
yeah,
and because she wanted to marry Haji, his gug came in the way.
yeah.
So I feel like maybe she.
I think so. I think, and I believe on top of the gug, there must be something more going on too.
Yeah, I'm
You
sure.
know, gug ke alawa
maybe he
bhi
was a bad character.
I think maybe he was abusive or something.
Yeah.
Though it's going to be justified that, you know, whatever happened to him was kind of, you know, justified, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Samia Mumtaz, we know we're huge fans of her
Yes.
on this show here. She was on Numan Ijaz's talk show.
Sarkarji or
Yeah, I think Ji Sarkar.
Ji Sarkar,
Ji
yeah.
Sarkar, yes. A wonderful interview. I think everybody should watch it. She talks
Yeah.
about how, you know, and we've talked about this. We love how natural she is, and
Yeah.
she said she's that way in real life too. She doesn't wear makeup, you know.
And she picks those kind of roles too, where she is very natural.
Very natural, yeah. And you know, I'm not against wearing makeup. I love wearing makeup myself, but I feel like there's a difference between an actor and a model. If you're a model, you know, आप जो मर्जी करें, makeup करें, जो मर्जी करें,
You
that's
should
fine.
be authentic to your role.
Yeah, but if you're
your
an
role,
actor, yeah.
if your role requires makeup, then yes. But if your role doesn't, or in that particular scene, then you
Yes.
should be authentic to your role.
Exactly. So I think that's where actors like Samia Mumtaz, Sania Saeed.
Sonia Said also
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes.
Both of them.
Both of them, yes.
Both of them are just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, we love them both. So
Yes.
yeah, just wanted to
And Nomana Jaz too.
yeah.
All these actors, even Omar
Umairana.
Rana.
Yeah.
He made such a great Mastan sing. He was
did.
so good in that scene.
I think this drama is just full of like amazing like acting. Even Atif Aslam. Like honestly,
I have to say, I really liked it.
Yeah.
I liked his acting. And
I wasn't very in the beginning. I was like, you know, he's a singer. What's gonna happen? But he's doing a great job. So we're
Yeah.
really kind of.
I
pleased.
really liked his delivery.
Me too.
I thought his voice was very strong,
Powerful.
very
Yes.
powerful.
Very
in this.
powerful. Yes.
So this wraps up Sangyema
Yes.
episode 22, and we will keep doing it. If you like our review, please subscribe to our channel.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is Iza.
And this is Saba signing off.